Hello everyone, Amethyst Mahoney here, and I'm here with you today to give you the Star or Pinnacle of Discovery spread. So it looks like this. It's actually gold. My printer ran out of, I don't know, yellow ink, I guess is the color that would make it gold, and so the copy that you'll get will be much brighter and much prettier. So let me see if I can hold it up here. My camera's a little laggy, so it's hard to see what's going on in my videos sometimes. So two things. I like to call this the Pinnacle, of course, because I do have some pagan and maybe some Wiccan views, and so the Pinnacle is pretty important to me. It's got you know, Akasha or spirit in the center, and then everything that comes off of that. So actually, when I do some of my later spreads, you know, we'll start down here and do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But for this first one, it's the Star of Discovery. A little bit weird. Your center is going to come first, and then you're going to start down here and lay your cards out around like that. So kind of feels odd sometimes when you're first doing it, but this is a spread that's going to help you uncover your hidden and unconscious things. So it's really hard work too. So if you need to take a break when you're doing it, you know, if you want to just lay the cards out and then go through one card at a time, maybe do one card one day and then one card the next day, that can be helpful too. Or you can just go through all of it really quickly, make your entries into your journal, and then you leave the spread out for several days to a week, and then come back to it and make notes in your journal as you have time to do that. Or if you, a lot of times, you know, I'll have like a dream of one of the cards, and I'll wake up the next morning and grab my journal and make another note of that too. So what do these stand for? You will get this. And oh, the other thing is, besides just being a pentacle, this is also the Star of Discovery. And I like the image of the star as well. This is why I don't pick Pinnacle or Star, because I like them both so much. The star is actually a symbol of light. You'll see the star card in the Major Arcana. If you did your first exercise, you already know that you came across that. And hopefully that was one of the definitions that you might have come up for as a shadow gift, is light or hope or inspiration. And the star is often, you know, lights people's way out of darkness. It was very important in, you know, past times when people didn't have electricity, and especially for boats and sea captains who would navigate by the stars and would be able to, you know, sail at night because they had the light from the stars and then the moon too. So what are we doing with this? It's really hard spread, okay? And so a lot of issues may come up for you, and so I'm really serious about if it's really difficult for you to make sure that you take some time to take care of yourself while you're doing this process, because it can uncover a lot of stuff and make you really uncomfortable sometimes, really upset. So make sure you have people and things in place for you that you are taking care of yourself too. So the first one is the middle one here. It's denial. And it's what you are denying in your life. And I think, you know, that one's in the center. It's really important because it's kind of the crux of a lot of things, is we just don't want to look at it. We don't want to see it. We don't want to know about it. But the fact that you are taking this course and you are doing this work is a testament that you're trying to get over that denial. So once you know, flip over that card, it's a really good idea to take, you know, a couple of minutes and just look at the card, meditate on the card. You can close your eyes, or you can actually pick up the card and hold it and look at it. You can start talking about the card like I talked about on my Tarot for Yourself video. If you haven't seen that, you can go to my amethystmahoney.com site and click on Tarot for Yourself. There's a video there that talks you through how to start. Just pick up a card and start talking your way through it to really help you find and understand the meanings that are important for you. So you can do that exercise as well. Just start talking. And the things that are important with this card to ask yourself is, you'll get a list too. I have some more sheets that I'm going to send you. It's got all of this information on it. So the first one is denial. There are things like, what negatives and positives do people point out to me that I have trouble accepting? And it's really important to think of those two separately. You know, what negatives people tell you are often easier for people to deny than the positives that people tell you. Make that sense? Well, anyway, sometimes people have more trouble accepting compliments. That's what I mean to say. So it can be easier for you when someone says something negative to you to kind of go brush it off and go, oh, whatever, you know, that doesn't mean anything to me, or that doesn't make sense. And still, even when you say that, a part of it kind of gets in to your subconscious and your unconscious anyway, and it does start to affect you. But it can actually be more difficult when people say something like, you know, oh, that looks nice on you today, or oh, you look really pretty today, or oh, you know, did that so well. And it's often harder for people to take those compliments and accept them. So really think of those two things as two very different, distinct things. Think of your negatives and your positives. Problems or situations you want to avoid, what might be your blind spot. And it's really important to feel the energy of the tarot card and really, you know, stay with that and see what that has to tell you about the denial. And we'll go through the rest of these really quickly. Again, you know, you'll get this picture of the star or pentacle spread, and then you'll also get the two handouts that are that go through each section, and some of the things to think about as you make your journal entries. Make sure you're making your journal entries, because it's really important, and it's really great to go back and later, you know, next year, and look at it and see what you've learned from it and how you've changed, or how you've not changed in some ways. Those are really good things to look at. So the second one here is about anxiety. I know a couple of our members have a lot of issues around anxiety, so really important one for you. And also remember the self-care. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself and getting extra professional help if you need it while you're doing all this. So this one is, when do I get nervous or anxious? When am I sensitive to what other people are saying about me? There's a couple fill in the blanks. You know, fear of blank causes me to feel anxious, or I'm anxious when blank. And a really good thing with these exercises is to be really, really specific. You know, recall past things that have actually come up for you, past incidences that you've actually had to deal with that made you feel anxious. Again, that can sometimes trigger, you know, a lot of heavy breathing and almost a panic attack. So if that is an issue for you, be very careful with this exercise. When I was a psychologist, we actually worked with people who had panic attacks in, you know, getting their heart rates up and getting them into a state where it would almost trigger a panic attack, just to show them that, you know, it's a panic attack, but you're not going to die from it. And so if that's an exercise, if you do have anxiety and panic attacks, I would highly recommend that you work with a professional on that, about, you know, trying to trigger them so that you can learn to start controlling them. And also, when you have one, at some point you're going to realize that, you know, you aren't going to die, and you will get through it. It's really a terrible thing, but you will be okay in the end. My husband used to suffer from panic attacks, and he actually triggered them in himself so many times that he finally went, oh, well, okay, then, and then they're over. And he hasn't had one in, I don't know, probably a decade now. So work with a professional on that if that's an issue for you. The third one is inferiority. Where do you lack confidence? So, and you would ask yourself, you know, what does this represent in my life? What does this inferiority position mean for me? And again, family events, situations, things from your past that have triggered feelings of inferiority. A lot of issues are probably going to come up from your childhood. And I know on some of my videos you probably see me say, you know, well, the psychology was all about wallowing in your past and worrying about, you know, if your mom or dad didn't hug you enough or say mean things to you and stuff. And I kind of make light of that sometimes, but when you're doing this kind of work, it is really important to actually get into all of that stuff again so that we can learn to, you know, release it and let that go. So definitely bring up all of those things from your past that sometimes I tend to think of, you know, that's really silly. Why do I even care if my mom tried to make me eat tomatoes when I was in 3rd grade, however old I was when I was in 3rd grade, and, you know, wouldn't let me leave the table, and, you know, why she didn't love me because she wouldn't give me something that I did like. You know, she made me try to eat iceberg lettuce, which I hate, and why wouldn't she get me spinach? You know, little things like that kind of seem sometimes on the surface to be a little silly, but really hold a lot of deep issues for us. So again, look at the tarot card and see what the energy in that is bringing up for you too, and really stay with that energy and see if it can tell you more about the situation. Number 4, it's anger. For the women in my group, a lot of women in general, I've been told, I'm not one of these people, but a lot of women in general are told that they are not allowed to express anger and that nice girls don't have anger. And I have a big issue with this. Personally, this is probably my worst area. I have a lot of anger, and I'm very, very good at expressing it. I was in the Army, and so, you know, it wasn't the Army that made me that way. I was always that way, and that's part of the reason why being in the military was so easy for me. And I actually hung around with all of the men because we were all that way. So women in general, I've heard, are going to have different issues with this number 4, and you know, that's fine. We're all going to have different issues with every single one of these. So really think about the differences between, are you able to express your anger, or have you been told to stuff your anger? And how do you stuff your anger too? Because this is another issue for women, especially. Some men definitely, but I'm not trying to be, you know, sexist here, but I've been told, and I've seen it when I was a psychologist, that women tend to stuff their anger more with food and sometimes drugs and alcohol. And so a lot of eating disorders, and a lot of times being overweight in general is just a lot of trying to stuff your anger, stuff your fear, stuff your anxiety, whatever it is that we're trying to use food to cover that. So and then also, how do you react when other people are angry around you? You know, can you be comfortable in that situation, or what is that like for you? So really explore those things, and within the context of that tarot card too. The 5th one is secrecy. So this is a really hard one, especially if you're keeping a tarot journal at home. This is the one where most people are like, they don't even want to write it down because they're afraid that someone's going to see their journal. And if that's an issue for you, you know, there's locked journals, there's places you can probably hide your journal. I have several journals that I keep, and my husband never reads them. And if he did, I probably wouldn't care, because I've gotten to the point in our relationship where I can trust that he's going to love me even if he knows all that stuff. So, but most people do not have that kind of relationship. So if the trust issue is an issue there, you're going to have to find some way that you can do your journal. So sometimes you might even keep it at that point. It might be a good reason to keep it on a computer. I actually like to handwrite everything out. If you can do that, definitely handwriting is always better, but if you need to keep it in a locked file on a computer, that's fine too. Find somewhere that you feel like your journal and your work is safe, because if you don't feel like it's safe, you're not going to be able to express yourself as much, and you're not going to be able to get as deep into it. And so that's secrecy. Sometimes secrecy is okay though, because we don't want to go out there and telling everyone, you know, everything. But some of the things that you do want to explore is, what do you feel like you have to keep hidden from the world? And then later when we go through this more, you know, you'll be able to decide, well, do I really have to keep this secret, or is this just a part of me that everyone can accept? So, you know, that's when we really start integrating our shadow sides into ourselves, and we learn to find that balance between what we are going to tell the world and what we aren't going to tell the world. And it's always different in different situations, and also with the different people that we're talking to. So the big one, I think, is, what do you think would happen if someone discovered your secret, and how would your life change? And then after you do that, what I didn't put on your worksheet is, then go back and look at that and go, really, is that really what would happen? Because in most cases, we just get over the top and we exaggerate it and we blow it all out of proportion. You know, we say, oh, if so-and-so found out X, they would hate me forever, they would leave me, they would never talk to me again, they would tell all my friends what a horrible person I am. You know, on and on and on, and all these really negative things that we think would happen. And later on, after you write it all out, don't censor it when you're writing, but later on we'll go back and we'll look at that and say, you know, really, is that really what is going to happen? Because chances are, no, that would not happen. So remember to meditate on the tarot card again and see what it tells about your secrecy. And then the final one is self-loathing, and this can be one of the most difficult ones for everybody. And that one's when you really start to dig up the childhood and the past relationships, past friendships, even if they were good friendships, definitely ones that didn't go so well. Any abusive relationships, emotional, mental, physical, sexual abuse, all of that is going to come up under this card, because all of those things can make you really feel like you hate yourself. And you know, if hate is too strong of a word for you, I still use it, because I think that a lot of us do have a part of ourselves that hate ourselves, and denying even using the word hate because we think it's a bad word and that we're not supposed to use it. I think that learning to even address that issue itself is part of the shadow work process. And so I really encourage you to look for, you know, can you even say that? Can you even say, I hate something? Or, because we've all been told for years now that we're not supposed to hate anything, and hating is wrong, and prejudice is wrong, and this is wrong. And when I see prejudice, I'm not even talking about just certain people or certain groups of people. I'm talking about, I went to a workshop one time and we talked about the food that we don't like, and they're like, oh, so, you know, you're prejudiced against Korean food. I was like, I don't like Korean food. No, you're prejudiced against it. And so it really got me thinking about all of those terms and definitions that we use to describe it. So, you know, I think, honestly, I've gotten to the point in my life where, you know, I don't care. If I hate something, I just kind of hate it. It's, you know, I don't like it. I hate tomatoes. Mom, I hate tomatoes. Stop trying to make me eat them, okay? You know, it's just one of those things. I'm never gonna like it. I try every couple years to like it, but it doesn't happen. So, really explore your feelings around that word hate, and find the parts of you that you dislike and that maybe even you feel like you hate, because those are the parts of you that we're really going to talk about, learning to appreciate the good side of them and learning to integrate them into our whole lives. So I want you to do this work. I know this video is really long, sorry about that, but I will be sending you the worksheets and the star, which if you print it out, hopefully on your printer, it'll be bright gold yellow like it's supposed to be. It's very pretty. And really explore these issues, get the help that you need to support you to do this work. If you need professional help, make sure you're doing that, and make sure you're taking a lot of time to care for yourself. So, and then once you do the spread, leave it out for a few days and keep journaling on it and keep seeing what comes up. And then I will talk to you next week about how to start taking those things and integrating them in a better way. All right, see you next week.